And that's my cue to start the show. Welcome to another edition of the Hard Rocket Sports Show, live from high atop Hard Rocket Sports Studios in beautiful scenic Monroe, New Jersey. We are your 2-hour weekly get-together. We bring you all the biggest news from the worlds of hard rock, heavy metal, of course, the wide world of sports. And, folks, thank you for tuning in on this Thursday, February the 13th, in the year of our dear Lord, 2025. And, I just want to say a couple things. There's a lot. I'm trying to just see. How do I do that? S and L. Got it. Lots to talk about this week. First off, let me wish all of you lovers out there a happy Valentine's Day. That's right. It's tomorrow. I get it. We're not on the air. So I wanted to wish all of you out there and your significant other partner, whether that is not pronouns. We don't use pronouns. Anyway. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. I hope you go out and you have a romantic night with your significant other. And whether that is your wife, your girlfriend, your husband, your boyfriend, or it could be snuggling up on the couch with your puppy or your cat, whatever makes you happy, please enjoy your Valentine's Day. And a big happy Valentine's Day from Jeff, myself, and everybody here at Hard Rocket Sports. So, guys, lot to talk about. A very disappointing Super Bowl. The anniversary, and we don't normally get too deep into the stuff like this, but the 50th anniversary is coming up Sunday, I think it is. They have it in the show of Saturday Night Live. And, Saturday Night Live was a big part of my growing up. And I'm sure, Jeff, too, we always talk about some of our favorite skits. And I want to talk about 50 years of Saturday Night Live. Again, big talk tonight about the Super Bowl. And what that is, we have the 2025 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominations. We'll get into that tonight. Let's see. Eli did not make it into the Hall of Fame. Very disappointing. We'll talk about the 4-team hockey tournament. We got the Jets move on from Aaron Rodgers. I'm sure there's more coming, but we only got 2 hours to get to it, so let's get right to it. Before I get there, though, one thing I will tell you is one of the most happiest days of my life. I shouldn't say the most happiest days. I get such joy every waking up and turning on the news and watching the Democrats just self-destruct and implode. I mean, they're singing songs, they're dancing. They are so against them digging into what we're spending our money on. And people, do your research. I mean, $59 for condoms for somewhere overseas, and $20 million for Sesame Street in Iran in Iraq. Listen, I'm sure there's some good spending in there, but if you're going to jump up and down and scream and yell because we can't promote Sesame Street or transgender holidays in Brazil, guys, I'm all for it. You want to use your money, send it. Don't use my money. So I'm a big fan of Elon Musk and the Doge organization. Everybody should be. All right, so just have fun with it, but I love what they're trying to do. So that's the politics talk for tonight. We got a lot to get to. We're going to get right into it. I want to get Jeff on. We got a lot to discuss, so please sit back, open up a beer, watch some TV, have us on in the background, whatever works for you guys. But we're looking forward to doing 2 hours of music and sports talk, which we do right here every week on Hard Rock and Sports Show. Sit back. Let me get the show kicked off and started, and I can only do that by bringing on my man, while his computer's working good, the Blackest Sabbath himself, Mr. Jeff Tolwinski. What's up, Hefe?
Not much, man. I was surprised that the computer looked like it was going to start fucking up when I first put it on.
Yeah.
And I got some warning or something, and all of a sudden everything is running smooth.
Oh, well, listen, you look good. That takes some doing anyway.
Something is, so.
Hold on.
I got to get a computer guy.
Okay.
I really do.
Let's see. Okay. So Jeff, let's get the show kicked off like we always do. Mr. Jeff Tolwinski, how was your week? Uh-oh. You jinxed it. Uh-oh.
It was a short one, thank God. It went quick.
Oh, good. Okay. That's
what
good.
Happened?
No, you were froze. I thought you froze for a second. So, all right. Are you hearing me good?
I went from regular screen to full screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So, all right. So, well, why was it a short week?
No, it just felt like a short week. I should
Oh,
have said,
okay.
not
Well,
was
okay.
a short week.
Okay. Well, Jeff, we got a lot to get to tonight. We got Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominations for this year. We got Super Bowl from last week. We got the Jets and Aaron Rodgers parting ways. We got 4-team hockey tournament to talk about. We got SNL 50 years to talk about. This is a potpourri of good show. All right. So we got plenty of stuff to get to. I'm going to throw it to you first. We got my dad hanging in there. You got 5 or 6 options, Jeff. Where do you want to start?
Well, let's get your dad out of the way. Well, I don't mean to put it that way, but let's get your dad. You don't want to leave him hanging for too long.
Nope. You keep him hanging every week. So
Talk
let's
to
get
him
my
about
pop.
see what he thinks about the Super Bowl and Aaron Rodgers. And
Yeah, let's see. He's always got a good take on things. Let's get my pops on. What's up, Pop?
Yeah, I like that, Jeff. That
how
was
are
good.
you?
Not good. Thank you. I thought, to be honest with you, I don't know if the best team won, but I got to tell you, I think the best coached team won because they did what the Giants did to New England. They put so much pressure on the quarterback that he got to a point where he snapped the ball and just looked to throw it. It looked like their front line was putting enough pressure on him and everything else. And
yeah, I think you're exactly right. I don't believe they blitzed the entire game.
no, they didn't.
They were able to get pressure and
Certainly seemed like it. Did they even have an offensive line, the Chiefs?
Yeah, I would also tell you I was very disappointed. I did not see Andy Reid trying to compensate or work stuff out, and we got a lot of stuff to do analysis on. But Dad, you're spot on. The Eagles came out; they had a better offensive line, they had a better defensive line, and they won the game because of it. I didn't think the rest of the Eagles were great. I mean, the Chiefs held Barkley to 50-something yards for the day. I mean, Hurts had some nice plays and touchdowns, but I thought the game, if you could have handed out a multiple award, it should have went to the offensive defensive line for the Eagles because that's where the game was won. It usually is, but these guys were dominant this year.
I agree. He looked like Richard Todd. He snapped the ball and they were top of him already. And they did hold Barkley. I said they found a way to stop Barkley, but they couldn't put no protection up.
Well, yeah, I mean, they couldn't protect Mahomes. And to be honest with you, watching the game, I thought Mahomes was off from the start. I mean, there was a bunch of passes that I would say normally he would complete, and they were getting 3 and outs. You know, he was missing 3rd and 3s,
Right.
you know, 2nd and shorts. They just looked off. I didn't know. I was not expecting that kind of game. I mean, I thought the Chiefs would win. I thought it'd be a close game, and it was the opposite, complete opposite. The Eagles won, Jeff, and they blew them out.
That game, it got closer because they scored a couple touchdowns in garbage time. But I mean, I don't think even if it was 40-0, it wouldn't have underscored how far away they were from each other while they were playing. That was a bad game.
Yeah, that I would tell you is probably the worst Super Bowl game I've seen in a long time. I was looking it up to see, what was the last blowout, and the last blowout, Tampa beat. Let's see, Kansas City beat Tampa. Right? Yeah, 31-9. Is that right? I thought it's all right. No, sorry. Tampa beat Kansas City. Sorry. Yeah, that was Brady's last one. That was a 31-9 game. Before that, I mean,
was Mahomes a quarterback?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, that was Mahomes against Brady.
Wow.
Yeah, that was 2021. Before that,
what is Mahomes now? 3-2 in the Super Bowl?
He is 2-2, if I'm not mistaken. He lost to Brady.
He won 3 games.
Oh, you're right. So he's 3-2. Yeah, he's 3-2. So, again, it was surprising in the fact that I didn't expect the Chiefs to be out-coached, out-prepared by the Eagles. They could be out-talented by them, but I thought that they were out-coached and out-prepared. Jeff, would you agree with that?
I don't know how it will classify it, Tom, because in the second half, they definitely were a different team. The Chiefs. I mean, too little, too late, of course. But I didn't understand one thing. You were moving the ball in the second half, and I know that the Eagles were letting them move the ball. But why wouldn't they go no huddle when they were actually moving the ball and they still had time to possibly do something, make it a lot closer than what it was? And they were taking their time in the huddle.
I would agree with
I
you.
didn't understand that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought the game was over, though, at the start of the second half when it was 17-0, and they got the ball to start, and they couldn't. They I think he threw the interception at midfield, and I thought at that point the game was over. I think I bailed with about 6 or 7 minutes in the third quarter.
Yeah, they just were flat, man.
Yeah,
flat.
That is a good way to put it down. How long did you stick with it, Dad?
I watched it. I basically watched the whole game because it didn't matter to me, to be honest, who won and who lost. But what I was more curious on, I wanted to see if Reed did anything to change what he was doing. It looked like he was more interested in covering Barkley than he was doing anything else. Because when they were stopping Barkley, the quarterback was doing the running, and they didn't do anything about it.
Yeah, I thought the early game plan with them stopping Barkley and forcing a couple of 3-and-outs, I thought the Chiefs had a chance to take the game over and build some momentum, and they never did. They just couldn't get out of the way of themselves offensively. And to be honest with you, it probably is the worst game I've ever watched Patrick Mahomes play. I mean, he was off in every single. It didn't matter. He couldn't complete a pass when he was forcing stuff in there, throwing bad interceptions. Really just was the worst game he could have played. And we can dig into this now or later, but I think it hurts his status a little bit. Now, again, he's 5 Super Bowls, his short time. I'm all he's a great player, but I don't want to hear about the conversation about him in the same class as Brady.
No, not at all.
After that Super Bowl. Now, maybe next year he comes back, he wins another Super Bowl, puts himself back in the conversation, Jeff. But right now, he's great. He's 1A, if you want to put it, 1B. But he's not in the conversation with Tom Brady today.
That's a hard one because it's one game. These teams, both teams were pretty good throughout the season.
Yep.
And neither one of them really had a slump. And we've talked about this before. And then if you start to slump at the wrong time, and it's quite evident that Kansas City definitely slumped at the wrong time.
Yep.
They came up against the Philly defense was very impressive.
Yeah.
They were stopping everything. I don't think Andy Reid made any first half adjustments.
No.
He definitely wasn't thinking on the fly.
No, definitely not.
Travis Kelce looked like if he could have went home
my God.
before halftime, I think he would have. Looked like he was getting ready to cry.
Did you watch some of those replays where he's just like standing there, not doing anything?
I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I have to say that I know there's some talk about him maybe retiring. I would tell you after watching that game, he should retire because it looked like he made no effort in that game at all.
He looked like he had he was pouting because him and his girlfriend had a fight or something, and he didn't want to be there. Like he wanted to get that straightened out, and that there was other things more important. Usually, he's always in the midst of a good game,
he's always fired up. He's always. It almost seemed like they told him, "Hey, we're going to make you a decoy, so you're not going to see a lot of footballs today." I don't know, but he had a few passes thrown his way that he didn't come up with, that didn't connect. But when I watched 3 or 4 plays where you could see him literally standing around, I mean, just standing still in the middle of the field, not moving.
Maybe he was hurt. Who knows?
Yeah.
No, he was. The whole team looked like they were disarrayed, and it looked like the coaching staff couldn't do anything. I would have thought because it showed their weakness in the first quarter.
Yeah,
they were getting the ball and turning it right over.
Yeah,
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
I
thought they would come up with something.
Yeah, and I was going to say that I put this completely on the shoulders of Andy Reid. Now I know he's the head coach, and it is anyway, but I thought the Chiefs defense, kept them in the game when they probably shouldn't have been, because you have the
To
halftime.
an extent. I mean, he did throw two. What, it was 2 pick sixes he threw?
At least one. I know he threw another pick that went down, take that to the 5-yard line. The other one,
It was only
the last one.
then.
Yeah. So he had 1 pick 6 and then 1 pick that went down to like the 5 or 10-yard line. So to me, this game comes on to the Chiefs' offense. It's on Mahomes' shoulders because I thought he was terrible. And again, to credit him a little bit, he had no time back there. He was getting crushed every play. And Andy Reid, I thought Spagnuolo and the defense was okay early in the game, first quarter, first half, into the third quarter, and then I think they kind of just said, we got no chance here, we're giving up. But they gave up a few big plays, but I put the squarely on Andy Reid's shoulders. I think the offense wasn't prepared, and they made no, like you said, Jeff, they made no adjustment to kind of compensate for the lack of pass protection.
Honestly, I think they will be fuddled, man. I really do. I think they went up against an Eagles defense, which they weren't expecting to play like that. I certainly didn't expect them to come out that way. I didn't know they were that good, to be honest with you. And the Eagles kind of making the Super Bowl was a surprise to me, to be honest.
Me too.
I didn't think they were going to make it.
Well,
I thought they would have run out of steam, but I'll be honest with you. I think they showed they were going to win the Super Bowl no matter who the AFC team was.
I think if they had faced the Lions, they would have beat the Lions playing the way they did.
I think they would have beaten the Bills too.
Yeah, I was firmly in the Lions camp all year. I thought the Lions were the best team all year by far. But watching the Eagles, they got hot when they came to it. They had a great game plan. I thought, again, I didn't think they were great offensively. I thought they played great defense, and it gave their offense a lot of opportunities, and they cashed in on it. And congrats to their fans and to the players. They did a good job, a really good job, and they won the Super Bowl. And they're set up for a few years. They have a very young team. Can you keep everybody, pay everybody? That's where he gets into trouble now. But Dad, like I said, it was a bad Super Bowl. I was looking forward to a decent football game. But it didn't go that way, and we'll have to wait till July to start it all over again.
Carl brings up that the Eagles defense was ranked 1. That's great. They definitely showed that.
Yeah. But
with Mahomes and how he usually makes adjustments and he seems to be able to play in any given situation, you would have think that would have been like almost a dream matchup to see. Let's see what he can do against this. And he didn't stand a puncher's chance, man.
Not at all.
Them in the corner.
There's also that old saying: a good defense will stop a great offense all the time, and it showed. They did it.
No,
now,
I
think, my own personal opinion, I think that Kansas City played terrible.
Yeah.
And Kansas City really, what I'm trying to explain. Kansas City really didn't. They just looked like they weren't in the game.
Yeah, listen, they came out flat. They almost felt like we're Kansas City, and we'll find a way to win. And I think I think Jeff, to your point, and what we've been talking about, I think Andy Reid, to a certain extent, just figures, hey, I'm going to come out there, we're going to do what works best for us, and Patrick Mahomes at some point will be Patrick Mahomes, and we'll get right back into this. And by the time he realized it wasn't going to happen, it was 24-0 on its way to 34-6, on its way to 40-22. And I think that you get so used to him making these dramatic comebacks and making the big play when he needs it that you kept waiting for it to happen, and it never happened.
No, well, of course. I mean, listen, at any given time, you never know what's going to happen, who may win, whatever, okay? But like you just said, when it was 10-0, 14-0, whatever the scores was, I don't remember how the scoring went. After a while, you got to say to yourself, okay, they're 2 scores up. We need to do something. We need to. And Tom Brady even said, he goes, what do they have to do to come out of the first half? And he says, listen, he goes, they don't have to score yet. He goes, but they haven't been on the other side of the 50. He goes, they got to put together a good drive. They got to show that they're moving the ball. He goes, maybe if they come out, they move the ball at a 50-yard line, they get a little confidence in themselves. Even if they end up having to punt, they show that they could move the ball. They showed them to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's something for them. And they didn't do that, man.
No.
And was it that the Philly defense was as good as it is, or was the Kansas City offense just so poor that day, man? I think it was a combination, to be honest.
I agree. I totally agree. I think you said it, they were befuddled, and they never adjusted, and they just thought, well, hey, think about it. At halftime, it's 17-0, and the Chiefs are getting the ball. So you figure you come out after halftime, you make some adjustments, you score a touchdown, you're 2 scores off, and next thing you know, it's a different football game. Problem was they came out, he throws the pick at midfield, the ball gets returned down to the 5 or 7 yard line, and they score. Next thing you know, it's 24-0. Next thing you know, he throws a pick 6, it's 30-0, 31-0. The game was out of hand. Now
that Eagles offense just wore down the Chiefs defense.
Oh, yes, 100%. Yeah,
just wore them down.
Correct. They didn't have to do anything flashy.
The only thing I'll say on this is Kansas City all year was just winning the games. They were coming back the last few minutes.
Yeah.
But if you watched, he was able to pick a little bit of a roll, throw the ball. He wasn't under pressure in those games. Philly did what the Giants did.
Sure.
Put pressure. Don't let him put his feet on the ground. And every time, did you ever see him get hit? He got hit quite a few times.
Sure. Yeah.
And
I just thought, he got hit a couple times that I thought were questionable, and no flags came out. I think the refs overcompensated. There was one they missed, was egregious. He got hit in the face with a helmet. But, I thought it was a good play, well refereed game. I didn't like the first couple calls of the game. I thought they were nitpicking calls.
You really –
yeah,
with that hands to the face.
Yeah, I thought
that was a good call in the Super Bowl.
Okay, all right. Again, but again, it wasn't where you go, oh my God, here we go. So, but again, a good game for the refs, and the Chiefs just came out flat and never fixed it. So, we'll see. Is that the end of the Chiefs now? Is it you kind of lose a game like this, and now you kind of got to retool and you're going to change the roster around. You change, maybe they don't get back here for a couple of years, or maybe they're back next year with a chance to.
I think they burst their bubble.
I agree. I tend to agree with you on that one. I think this is a changing of the guard, so to speak. I think they took their beating. They're going to have to reshape the roster.
The dynasty went down the drain. All right, I'll let you guys go. I know you got a good show going. Take care, guys. Have a good one. Tommy, I'll see you over the weekend.
Yes, sir. I'll see you over the weekend, Pops.
Be good, man.
That's my dad. So, Jeff, to put a kind of let's keep us. First thing let's talk about is we touched on a little bit, but at the end of the day, does this damage the legacy of Patrick Mahomes? I mean, the big guys, even when they lose, they're in there. They play their game. Maybe the team comes up a little short. Mahomes took a beating, but he was not good from the first snap of the game on.
It's one. First of all, it's one game, and I wouldn't say that his career is over. It's far from it.
No, not at all.
I want to put this together with something that Carl said earlier.
Go ahead.
That he said Brady didn't get his 4th ring until he was 36, and Mahomes is only 29. The one thing that has to be said at this point in time is there's never a guarantee that anybody is ever going to make it back to another Super Bowl. Just ask Dan Marino that question. Yep. See what he has to say about that. But as far as Patrick Mahomes goes, I would think that this is the possible issues, okay? 1, Andy Reid. He's getting up there. 2, Steve Spagnuolo. There was people trying to hire him this year as a head coach.
Yep.
He's getting older. Is he going to want to go out as a head coach, or is he happy to be the defensive coordinator in Kansas City?
Yeah.
I believe that Patrick Mahomes will have the drive, but you have to see how they're going to rebound. I know that they had receiver issues for a couple years now.
Yeah.
Hopkins is getting older. Kelsey is getting older. What are they going to do in the draft? They have the 31st pick in the draft. So it's not like they're going to get instant help. They got to see what free agents they have and what they're going to do, to bolster that team up. Do I think that his legacy is tarnished? No, I don't think so, because he's only 29. He's already been in 5 Super Bowls and what, 7 or 8 AFC championships already?
Yeah.
Even if his career was as far as championships was to end today, he still did better than God knows how many other people in the NFL. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I wouldn't say that that it's over for him. But I would say that there has to be an eye and say, like, a lot of people are going to watch that film. They showed a lot of different ways that you can end up beating the Chiefs. Blitzing, just get somebody in the backfield because Mahomes couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And he was running for his life a lot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, there's no doubt about it.
And a couple times he got sacked, 5 or 6 times?
Yeah, I would say at least 6 times.
Yeah. And there was a couple times he was lucky that it wasn't more, that he just made it out of harm's way. Yeah,
it was a very disappointing Super Bowl for me. And just one thing before I forget, they were talking about three-peats. This was to be the three-peat. Technically, I know, we talk about it all the time on the show, Jeff and I, how the NFL doesn't like to remember that there was an NFL before the Super Bowl started, right? I mean,
there was no NFL before Super Bowl one.
Technically, the Packers won the last NFL championship game in 1966 and then won the first 2 Super Bowls. So technically, the Green Bay Packers won 3 straight titles. So if you want to talk about three-peat, as far as I'm concerned, they've already done it. Now, people are going to say, well, nobody's done it in the Super Bowl era. Well, to me, the NFL is the NFL. We still talk about records that go back to the 1920s and 30s and 40s. We count wins from 1925 when it all started. To me, the Packers won in 66. They won the first 2 Super Bowls. They're three-peaters. So, I don't know.
They're a three-peat, but nobody's won 3 Super Bowls. They won 3 NFL championships in a row. Yeah. They didn't win 3 Super Bowls.
I got it.
That's the point.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be a very long time before somebody gets 3 in a row now at this point in time, because who's I'm not saying that Mahomes can't do it, but it's showing how hard it is.
Oh, yeah.
This is the closest that we've had to a dynasty in the Super Bowl era in a long time, but with somebody, that's not true. I mean, the Buffalo Bills made 4 Super Bowls in a row. The Eagles made 4 or 5 NFC championship games in a row.
Mm-hmm. Patriots.
The Patriots went almost every other year.
Yeah.
So I mean, we have seen teams be successful for long stretches of time, but a three-peat, and that seems like it's going to be a very hard thing. We may never see that in our lifetime.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, it's very difficult in this era when you start to have to pay these guys and you have to deal with free agency and turnover of teams. It's extremely difficult. I give Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs a lot of credit. Just what you pointed out, 5 Super Bowls in the last few years. They've been to 7 AFC championship games. This is a very successful franchise in a short amount of time who's turned it around and become the gold standard. So I'm with you on it. I think the bubble burst a little bit this year because they're going to have to fix the offensive line this year. They have to fix it.
They showed that they're mortals and they got to definitely retool that team.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's still they gave up some weaknesses. They showed some weaknesses. They showed how they can be beaten.
Yeah, no,
still a good team. I still have to be one of the AFC favorites.
Oh, of course,
Super Bowl. Them, Baltimore, and maybe Buffalo, whatever. Sure. Maybe Cincinnati if they come back. So I mean, right off the bat, you take those 4 teams. Are those going to be the final 4 teams in the AFC East or AFC next year at this time?
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, if you were starting off if you were putting the power rankings together, you would have those 4 teams in some sort of order at this point. Things happen in the offseason. We new players move around, draft picks, who retires, who gets traded. So anything could change in the hierarchy of the NFL. But to me, you're right. Those are the 4 teams that you're going to come out next year and say nothing changes. Those guys are your top 4 teams in some sort of order. But it's a long way from that point. We're just going to get ready to start free agency soon. We have the combines coming up. You're going to have the draft in a couple of months. So, a lot of things will change.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I got to bring it up, man.
Go ahead.
I can't. I'm not letting you go.
Go ahead.
I'm not letting you go.
Go ahead.
I'm not even going to talk about the mocks that I've run.
Oh God, you're
right, that are hardly ever wrong, by the way.
Yeah.
But I'm going to talk about all the other drafts that I've seen, the mock drafts that I've seen.
Okay.
So many different drafts, all have Sanders going to the Giants.
Okay.
Tom, what is your feelings about that? And are you horrified? And if he does go to the Giants, what happens?
Well, again, here, it's not my pick that I would want if I was as a Giant fan and as a fan of the NFL. I don't think he's, first off, to start with, I don't think he's a great quarterback at this point in time. Second of all, I think there's too much baggage. There's too many people when if he's not used properly, or every second guess is going to go to his father. Hey, what do you, the circus. And that's the second problem I have. Now, I will say this. He actually wants to play for the Giants. I mean, he showed up at one of his bowl games wearing giant cleats. He legitimately wants to be a New York Giant. So that is a nice thing. Okay. Everybody would want something like that. I just don't think he's a great quarterback. To me, I say it 100 times. I'd rather have a veteran guy and then maybe get somebody in the second or third round that is a possibility and build for the future than draft him or Cam Ward, for that matter, at the third pick, and kind of delay the fixing of this team. So it won't horrify me because he is a legit college quarterback. I just don't think he's going to be a great NFL quarterback, and I prefer not to have him. So that's the best way I can explain it. But
I feel as though the little that I know about him, he's a runner, isn't he?
He's really not. He's very mobile. He's not a great runner, but he's very athletic.
Well, he doesn't necessarily have to be like Lamar.
Yeah, no, he's more like Dak Prescott to a certain extent, to me.
So is that the kind of quarterback that you see on the Giants? I don't see that as the kind of quarterback that would fit the Giant mold, so to speak. A Giant football to me is run, boring, and what I mean? Like not exciting football. Like they're not gonna all of a sudden the quarterback take off. I mean, they do run, yes, but it's not going to be part of their main game plan.
Yeah, somebody asked me today what I thought of the where the Giants are, where they draft him, and I said this: you're going to know what the Giants are going to do come end of free agency, because if the Giants get to the draft and they haven't picked up a legit, now if they go and take, I'm going to just use a name. It's not, if they went and get Kirk Cousins. Or if there's been rumors of the Giants somehow getting Matthew Stafford. I don't know if it's through trade, if they're going to release him. I have no idea. If the Giants picked up a quarterback of that ilk, they are not drafting a quarterback at the third pick. Whether they they trade down or they take somebody else at that spot. If the Giants go in and they get Carson Wentz or somebody like that, the Giants are going to draft a quarterback with the third pick of the draft. That's just the way it's that simple and easy for me to look at. Do they need a quarterback? They do.
If they sign one free agency, it makes total sense what you're saying. Why waste a third pick on another quarterback?
Right.
But depending on who they get, because Matthew Stafford is 36, 37, maybe 38.
Yes, something like that.
He's not going to be there long term.
Yep.
And even Kirk Cousins and the rest of these quarterbacks, they seem to be a quick drop off. And Matthew Stafford, let's just say it's rumor right now,
yes,
because he's still on the Rams, and I don't know why. Are the Rams done with him? Is he done?
I don't know.
Is this going to be the Giants' Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I don't know the answer. I keep reading that there is a chance that they're going to part ways. I also see Cooper Kupp may be available. There's a whole bunch of I guess they're retooling now. For another run. So I guess maybe they're trying to stack up draft picks and, so I don't know. I'm not even going to, at this moment, I'm going to wait a week or two and see what it looks like out there. But at this moment, if I'm the Giants and if I pick up a veteran guy who's capable of being the number one quarterback, even temporarily, then that tells me what they're going to do in the draft. If they don't, then they're going to draft a quarterback.
Let's just say that they go after a Stafford. Because let's say I don't know how he's going to become available. Okay. Let's just say he's available.
Yep.
What are the Giants if he's available via trade? What is an acceptable trade? Because the Rams aren't just going to let him go for a third round pick. That.
Probably not. but it depends on, again, I don't know his contract status. I don't know what his years are left. To me, yeah, I mean, I would not give up anything higher than a number 3, to be honest with you. The guy's on his last legs. Let's be honest.
Like that's what Carl just said. His brother-in-law is the
okay, if that's
coordinator, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, so. I've never heard that. I've heard the rumors. I've seen a bunch of stuff coming across. Matthew Stafford, going to the Giants. I don't see it. But again, if the Giants are going to go, all right, we can get a year or 2 out of Matthew Stafford. Now, again, this is what the Jets thought with Aaron Rodgers. So be careful what you wish for. And then at that point,
different situation, though, dude. I would rather have Matthew Stafford than Aaron Rodgers because Matthew Stafford doesn't really seem to be a dickhead.
Well, that's 2 different things. I'm with you on that. I'm just talking about on the field, general, that type of stuff. But if I was a Giants,
we already seen that that Aaron Rodgers acts like a dickhead on the field as well as off the field.
And we're going to talk about that in about 2 minutes. But so if I were the Giants and I got a Matthew Stafford or even a Kirk Cousins, where you say he's going to be a reasonably efficient NFL quarterback for a couple of years, then you could probably get a guy like the kid Dart from Ole Miss, somebody, maybe Quinn Ewers. If you like them and they got something, you'd say, okay, I could stash him on my bench for a year. Next year, give him a chance to win the job, and then have the veteran back him up and mentor him. That's the situation that I would love to see. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know who's going to come running to the Giants, and it would give the Giants a chance.
Frank Catalano puts up a point, which I don't. Frank, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. To let him go, there's too many quarterback-needy teams right now in the NFL, the Giants, the Jets, the Steelers, and God knows how many others I'm forgetting, for them to trade Stafford for a 6th or 7th. They may start off with asking for a 5th or 6th round pick. Who knows? But then if you need a quarterback and I need a quarterback and I'm willing to give up a 3rd or 4th rounder, that's going to change. So I don't think he's going to go anywhere for that low of a pick.
Yeah, I don't know the situation yet.
He's a winning quarterback. Super Bowl winning quarterback, I should say.
But he's coming off a lot of injuries. He hasn't played a full season in a while. So again, I think it's and again, is he the kind of guy you want to play behind the Giants the way their offensive line is? So there's a lot of questions there for me. I keep hearing when I don't tune to a lot of sports radio because the guys who I would have to listen to are morons, but they were arguing today over if you were a Giant fan and you had an option to either bring Daniel Jones back or bring in Justin Fields, what would you want? And they were arguing that the Giants should bring in Justin Fields. Basically was a better quarterback, and I said, based on what? The guy has done nothing. I'm not saying he's not a great athlete, but as a quarterback, at least Daniel Jones could put up a couple pelts on the wall. This guy's done nothing. So to me, I'm not looking to bring anybody back, but you got to be careful what you think and what you wish for as a Giant fan. I don't want Justin Fields my quarterback next year. I want nothing to do with the guy. He's been horrendous.
Listen, you know what? While I understand your point, and I definitely understand Frank's point on this one, without a doubt. Okay, I have to say this much. At this point in time, why would Daniel Jones even want to think about coming back to the Giants?
No, that wasn't even the point of it. Was arguing over.
No, I know, but I'm just bringing up
sure, he would. No, he would never want to come back.
As far as Justin Fields goes,
yeah,
he's still 25 years old, still young enough to turn everything around in the NFL. I mean, just look at what Sam Darnold did, even though it might have been, an aberration what he did. But Justin Fields is something completely different. I know I wouldn't want a running quarterback, but I mean, it gives you a completely different dimension now. Unfortunately, they have no run game, no offensive line, and no quarterback. So if you're Justin Fields, you're probably going to get killed very early in the season, maybe being a fucking traction for the rest of your life on that team right now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he gives you an option to build around.
Yeah, if I'm the Giants and I had my druthers, again, it's veteran quarterback. I'm taking either Travis Hunter at 3 if he falls to 3. I would trade down and get an offensive lineman, which they can absolutely use. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of things that could happen. I mean, everybody's got to watch to see what happens with Sam Darnold. That's going to trigger things. If Sam Darnold's staying in Minnesota, is J.J. McCarthy available? Do you want J.J.? So we have to see how this all plays out, and then we'll see. But for the Giants, the original question was Shedeur Sanders. I don't want him because I don't want the circus, and I don't think he's going to be a great quarterback. At number 3, after everything we've been through, you got to come out of there with a guy who's doesn't have to be a surefire Hall of Famer. He's got to be a surefire, and he's got to be Dak Prescott at the least, where he's an efficient quarterback on a good team.
Well, the time will unveil itself sooner or later, without a doubt.
Absolutely. So while we're on it, let's go across town, Jeff, and talk about the Jets and parting ways with Aaron Rodgers. And it's been talked about for a week. I'll give Aaron Glenn and the new general manager a lot of credit here. They came in, they recognized more so to what you said was the guy's not a good teammate. He's a terrible fit in the locker room, and his play was substandard, and they're willing to eat $39 million of his money to basically let him leave. Now the question is going to be, are they eating it in 1 year, or they're splitting it among $25 million 1 year and 14 the next? I don't know, but to me, that's the question. To me, I think they handled it properly, and they're going to start clean slate.
He had the 3rd best or 4th best year of a Jets quarterback in franchise history. So I wouldn't say that he was awful on the field. What I would say is that he definitely showed that he's not a good teammate on the field.
Yeah.
All right. His face just said too much. I feel as though that he definitely got the ball rolling and got Salah fired, which maybe Salah would have been fired by this point in time anyway. Who knows? We don't know what would have happened.
Yeah.
It certainly didn't look very good for him afterwards anyway.
Yeah.
While he did play decent, he had a better year than, a lot of Jet quarterbacks have had, but the rest of the team was just flat. They just were hideous. They weren't fun to watch. They you want to watch a team. All right, so they move the ball 30, 40, 50 yards. Then maybe, all right, they try a field goal and it gets blocked, or, they have to punt, whatever. But at least they show that they're moving the ball. I don't remember too many games like that for the Jets. More often than not, the game was over before it was even close to being over.
Yeah.
It just, and you have to blame him. He just seemed to have an attitude. And then when all of a sudden he decided that he was going to play better, it was just too late.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see him go.
Yeah, no, I think most people are. I think they, the feel good story, hey, what's up, Frank Jeffrey? I think the feel good story never materialized because he never was able to connect to Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, some of the younger guys. It was kind of like, I got to bring in, Adams. I got to bring in, what's the other receiver that he had? Yeah. I got to bring in guys closer to my age because I can't relate to these guys. And I need to have my guys here. And I think it fractured things in the locker room. And when you don't play well and you have a fractured locker room, it's going to cause chaos, which is what happened. Salah paid the price, rightfully so. It should happen before the season, but whatever. And I'll give Aaron Glenn credit. He came in and said, hey, we're going to cut this cancer out. We're going to take the financial hit. And I think it sends a message, Jeff, to the rest of the team that, hey, you're not too big. If you don't play well, you will be gone, and it don't matter. And I think that sends a message to Sauce Gardner.
You're 100% right, but you want to know something? You already put yourself behind the 8 ball because you didn't even get on the field yet. And what are you doing? You already have no quarterback. You already cut ties with the quarterback you had. You didn't even watch him work out. You didn't even sit and watch him work out. You never give yourself that opportunity. I'm not saying that he would have rebounded and been something that he could have been last year or should have been 2 years ago. But you didn't even look and see what the guy was about. Now you got a defensive-minded coach, once again, somebody that probably does not know how to nurture a young quarterback, once again. And you got to figure now, what are you talking, year 3? So next year is going to be out the window. Maybe the year next might be a little bit better. But how much cap room are they going to have? Where are they going to be picking in the draft? There's so many questions to ask. And once again, it's the Jets. So what does that mean? Well, it means they're probably going to suck again and again and again.
Well, again, I got to give the guy a little leeway to try to fix things up. I kind of agree with you. I thought it was the easy pick to bring him in because it's a former Jet. He had a pretty good career here. He played for some really good coaches. He's done a nice job as a defensive coordinator. But again, I don't know if there was another coach out there that first year that would have done a better job even if he was an offensive guy. I always said I thought they needed a veteran, but
they never went and got or tried to get an offensive coach in here.
I agree. I agree.
Tried it.
I agree.
Always defensive guys. Okay.
I agree.
And I understand everything that you're saying. Okay. And I agree with you to an extent. But, and Frank Catalano, you say about trade Sauce Gardner. I would
trade him. Absolutely. 100%.
I would keep Garrett Wilson and I would keep Breece Hall.
Yep.
Okay. And then what I would do is if I was an offensive minded coach, I would try to build up that offensive line any which way and not fucking sign 33, 34-year-old free agents. Okay, there's going to be several younger guys that are going to be available this year. I hope they go after them.
I would say you have to. Problem is they're going to be very restricted because of the salary cap issue with Aaron Rodgers. So that's the one problem they have going in this year. They got the number 7 pick. To me, this is not a great offensive this is not a great quarterback draft. It's just not. But if I were the Jets,
I don't have to think they're going to have to tank, Frank. I think that's just going to be the way it is.
If I'm them, I'm going to just get the best guy I can get at number 7. I would be to me, it's an offensive lineman. I mean, I think that's no doubt. You could go defense. You're going to have to replace C.J. Mosley at some point.
C.J. Mosley's got to go.
Yeah, so
he's too old, and they said he has a neck issue. Nobody may even want to look from the play.
See, Frankie, I don't disagree with that. See, I would trade Sauce Gardner and maybe your number 7 pick and move up and try to get a Travis Hunter or the kid Carter from Penn State, who I think is going to be a beast in the NFL, and put him next to Quinnen Williams and just tear the league apart that way. So,
yeah, and then what are they doing again? Now, what are they going to look to win games 10-3, 10-7? They need to fucking form an offense, bro.
I agree with you, but to me, shore up the defense. Here's what I want at number for the Jets. Your number 1 pick has got to be a surefire impact player next year. So at number 7, you're starting to creep into probably an impact player next year, maybe more for the future. If I can move up a couple spots and I can grab Travis Hunter, who could play wide out or corner, okay, there's an impact guy right there. If I can get, I think it's Abdul Carter, I'll go get Abdul. He's going to be an impact player in his first year. You need guys who, I'm not telling you it could be an offensive lineman for all I care. It just needs to be a surefire guy. If you're the Jets, you're the Giants, and you're picking where you're picking, you got to come out of there with somebody who is setting the league on fire. And if I could package Sauce Gardner and move up a few spots and get one of those kind of guys, I'd be all in. Again, I wouldn't do it for a quarterback. The quarterbacks in this draft are not great quarterbacks. I'm sorry.
No, listen, I don't blame you, but you want to know something? If you're going to go the defensive route, okay, you're still putting offensive pieces behind you and hoping make next year. And what are you going to keep saying? Well, next year is not the year.
Well, Jeff, you don't forget you have 7 picks. So your other 5 picks, you're going to get, the Giants.
When was the last New York Jet pick that worked?
Well, again,
that was a late round pick. Please tell me the last late round Jets pick.
But again, you're getting you have a new GM, you have your new scouts. So again, we have to wipe the slate clean and start fresh and say, okay.
I understand that, but history has shown.
I got you.
History has shown. You can't worry. Yeah, dude, this is the Jets. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says. You got to look at how this team has fucked people up, players up. You have to look at it.
Let me ask you this question. So let's say we eliminate taking a quarterback early in the draft. I don't know if anybody else thinks, but let's say if you're the Jets, you're not taking a quarterback, right? So realistically, you got Gary Wilson as your number one, right? You have a number one receiver. You got Breece Hall. You got a number one back, and you got the other kid who played behind him, who's an equally good back. All right. You need help on the offensive line. So are you taking a guard at number 7 if there's a great one at that spot? Are you taking a right tackle? Because you got the kid from Penn State who's going to be your left tackle next year. He's it. Fassanu is going to be the guy. So to me, at that point, you're either going to get yourself a receiver, okay, to go play on the outside of Garrett Wilson.
What about that kid that they drafted last year, Corley?
Right. So I'm saying this
Frank, I don't mean the last pick that worked. I said the last late round pick.
Yeah, I'd have to look at it and see who.
I don't think there ever was one.
Yeah, so like to me, like the Giants,
7 picks, you can have fucking 107 picks. If after the first 2 rounds they're all late round picks, what difference does it make? Just I'd have them more often than not and made a pick.
Yeah, I would have to look that up. Like last year for me, the Giants got this kid Tyrone Tracy in the 5th round, and he was a really good back. I don't know if he got 1,000 yards, but it was close. Missed a couple games, but he was an exciting player. Scored a bunch of touchdowns. To me, that's what I would hope for if I was the Giants or the Jets in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. Try to fix your offense a little that way. But at that 1st round pick, if you're the Jets and the Giants, it's got to be foolproof. He's got to be the guy who is going to be a cornerstone at whatever position you pick, receiver, offensive line, defensive line. And to me, there's a couple of big impact players in this draft. I believe I'm not a Travis Hunter fan. I think he's a dick, but he's an impact player. And the other guy I like is the kid Carter. I think he's going to be a beast.
Travis Hunter, that's the wide receiver cornerback.
Yeah, for Colorado. And I think that's a guy that if you can get your hands on, I think now the question is going to be, will he be satisfied? Is he going to be a pain in the ass if he only plays one way? To me, in this NFL, you cannot have a guy who plays both ways consistently. It just doesn't work. Guys are just too good athletes.
No, you can't. It makes no sense. Why would, first of all, let's say that he forces somebody's hand and he wants to play both ways. Okay, the more he's on the field, the more of a chance it is that he's going to get hurt.
Yeah, and if he gets hurt, he hurts 2 positions.
Oh yeah, and then you're out of 2 positions. You're right. Although if he plays, if wide receiver is his main position, he's probably not going to be a main cornerback or defensive back.
Again, that's
vice versa.
Right. So that's the question. So to me, it's just about, again, being smart and coming out of there. Like I said, Giants at number 3. If they stay there, get a guy that you know, no matter what happens, he's going to be a cornerstone guy for the next 5 years, for the next 7 years. That you got to pick a guy that way. It can't be, well, we think Cam Ward's the guy. We think Shedeur Sanders is a guy. I got to have a guy there who's a no doubt, no-brainer. Otherwise, and I don't care what position he plays. If he fills a need, great, but he's got to be great. He's got to be a guy that you think is going to be great, and that's the problem. I think he will play more receiver in the NFL than he does at a corner, and he may get a spot in a game where he plays, or if they're hurting and they need a guy, I could see him jumping in there, Frank Jeffrey. I agree, but I think his main focus is going to be playing wide receiver. I think he'll get more glory that way, and that's kind of the way he is. So it's interesting. The Jets are in a good spot right now where I think they're going to get a lot of swag this year from the fact that they let Rodgers go, and I think Glenn's and the new regime is saying, hey, this is our team. We're ridden to cancer. If you don't want to be here, you won't be here. And I think it's in the long run, it's going to be, well, you're right, Jeff. You may suffer this year. I'm not sure. You may suffer.
They're definitely going to suffer. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
There's no way. Even if they would have turned it around, you know what will happen? The rest of the NFL will get better. Well, so it's just one of those things. You know what I mean?
So now the question is, here's a bigger question for everybody out there. Jeff, I'll start it with you, but everybody chime in. What happens to Aaron Rodgers? Does he play next year? If he does, what is a likely landing spot for Aaron Rodgers? I mean, does he make nice with Tom Brady?
Pittsburgh is a big place for him to possibly go to. Raiders possibly.
I think if you're Aaron Rodgers, it's got to be a team that has a chance to be a Super Bowl team, and I think it's going to be a West Coast team. I think it could be the Rams. I think if he's not going to the Giants, Frank, forget it. No,
God, let me tell you something. If he goes to the Giants, I swear to God, I'll go to church every day. I won't curse ever again. He's
not going to the Giants. I got to hope for the fact that they're see what's happening across the hall from themselves.
If Aaron Rodgers signs with the Giants, I swear to you, I will take a lifetime vow of silence and fucking go see Father Bob and fucking join the fucking Jesuits.
He's not going to. I think the Raiders are a possibility. I think he wants to play on the West Coast. So if you're asking me because he lives
what about Minnesota?
Well, it's a good point too. Can he go there for 1 year? I think it's more likely the Raiders. I think it's more likely maybe the Rams if they do part ways with
49ers. Somewhere to 49ers.
And I think that's an interesting one because I think the shine has come off the apple of the Brock Purdy, thing. I think at some point, not that I think they're going to trade him, but I think they're going to look to bring in somebody to replace him. I think Brock Purdy's had his run, and I think they're starting to sense that he's reached his peak, so to speak.
The thing that I read about Purdy, is that he would go sit on the bench and watch Rodgers play for a year.
And that's a possibility too. That he needs a little bit of mentoring and to get better. But I think right now he's hit his wall, and people he's come back to earth. And what they're realizing is, if we don't put this super team around him, he's not going to carry us. Now they got Deebo Samuel's trying to get a trade. Who knows if Ayuk's going to be back? This team is kind of coming apart, and the way McCaffrey gets hurt every year.
I don't see Ayuk coming, being ready for the start of the year. And as far as McCaffrey goes, to San Francisco trade him, man, I know that this guy seems to get hurt all the time.
Yeah, again, I think right now, I don't know if there's going to be a retooling there. But for Rodgers, I think he's not going. Now, I think Pittsburgh's intriguing because they're good every year. They're not great, but they're good every year. And if they had a quarterback, but think about this, Jeff, might be the toughest division. So does he want to go up against the Bengals, and the Steelers twice a year, playing in the AFC against the Chiefs, the Bills? I would think he's going to stay in the NFC. I think it's going to be somewhere out west. I could possibly see him going to the Raiders. I could see him with Tom Brady and Pete Carroll. That's a possibility. So,
listen, he also played for many years up in Green Bay. The guy's not afraid of the cold.
No, but that's probably why he would go back.
Would be maybe feel like home for him. Who knows?
Maybe. And I think the other spot I thought was interesting would be Miami. I mean, at some point, Miami's got to think about, moving on from Tua, because you can't have what you had last year. The guy gets a nick on and he's out, and they had no offense whatsoever. So I think they have to start to think about, hey, we need a quarterback that we think can get through the season. So it's going to be an interesting offseason for quarterbacks, because you're going to have, the debate over keeping J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold. Where does Daniel Jones sign? Where does Aaron Rodgers sign? There's going to be some intrigue over some of the veteran guys who are floating. And, of course, then you got the draft and, who comes out of the draft. So I think there's going to be an interesting offseason. I also think there's a small chance that Rodgers retires.
A small chance. I think there's too much money left behind for him to retire.
That's the problem. That's the problem. I think he winds up on somebody's roster, whether he gets cut because he got, no care of the world. He's going to go home with that money in his pocket. The question is, who's going to be the guy to pick him up? And again, who knows? He may be tainted goods at this point where, he gets cut, the Jets owe him the money, and nobody signs him. That's a small possibility,
man. Very good possibility.
Think about it. If you saw what happened with the Jets, where he played average football, but could not connect to his teammates, and people talk around the league, the players talk, you can't think at this point that he's the missing piece of the puzzle. That's what the Jets thought, and it was the complete opposite. So
yes, but here's the difference though with the Jets. Okay, when they first were going after him, he was 38, 39 years old.
Yeah,
you're talking about a 41-year-old player at this point in time who had an okay season, but hasn't been MVP type caliber player that he was just 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
He's not going to become an MVP caliber type player now, wherever he goes.
No, I agree. But but he's also not going to go to a rebuilding team, right? He's not going to the Titans. He's not going to the Jaguars.
you'd like to think that's not the case,
Right.
but somebody's willing to give you fucking $30 million a year.
Well, you got to remember, he's already got the money. So the best. So let's say he goes to the Raiders. The Raiders are going to give him the bare minimum because the Jets are already going to pay him $39 million. If every dollar that some other team gives him is that much less than the Jets have. So he's only going to make $39 million this year, whether it's from the Jets.
But think about this. You want to go to the Raiders? The Raiders, that's where you want to go?
Again, I'm not saying it's the best place to go, but to me, I know he wants to be on the West Coast. He's got dreams of being in Hollywood. So I think he wants to be out that way. It's an indoor stadium, all right? So he's not getting the weather. He's close to where he grew up about there. You're playing for a veteran coach. Tom Brady's is part owner of your team. I think it's attractive. I don't think to me, it's not the place you want to go, but the Rams aren't very good. 49ers is a possibility. If you could wind up there, it's a decent team. But if you're the 49ers, do you want to bring this? Again, same thing. Do you want to bring this guy in after what he did or how he was with the Jets and the McAfee show? Again, I think there's a small chance that Aaron Rodgers gets to training camp and is not on a team.
Listen, time will tell.
Yeah, I think it's
I don't think that. I think somewhere along the line somebody will take him for a lot of different reasons.
No, I agree.
One, he's going to be a draw. Okay.
Yeah, because you're getting him for nothing.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. I'm just thinking he's going to put people in the seats. So if you got a team that wasn't exactly drawing the hell out of a fucking crowd, just him being there may help you financially.
I agree, but
he's still better than God knows how many other quarterbacks in the league, even at 41 and half washed up. He's still better than God knows how many.
Well, so you have to look at it this way then. If that's your thought, it's not wrong. Then you say, hey, this guy doesn't want to go out. This guy doesn't want to go out that way. He's going to try to show everybody up. He's going to go out there and give it 180% for this season. Who can take advantage of that? So that's the question. So that's a possibility. I still think
said the same thing, Tom. This is the man that said everything that everybody wanted to hear just weeks before he got hurt 4 plays into the season.
Yeah.
He was with his teammates at sporting events. He was ready to play. He feels special. This is a good year. It's going to happen. Everything is going to be good. And he ended up getting hurt, injured. That wasn't really his fault.
Nope.
But then when he did play the full year, right off the bat, he's giving Salah fucking dirty looks on the field. I just I'm listening. I just don't think he's the man that you want.
I'm with you. I got you. But let's put it this way. Let's say, what's the worst case experiment? You bring him into camp at some point this year. You bring him in early on. Maybe he's motivated. Maybe he's not. But you're going to get him for $1 million, right? You're going to get him for 1.2, 1.6. He's in there. It doesn't work out. You cut him. He's still being paid by the Jets. It costs you $1 million, and you move on. So to me, if I'm a quarterback needy team like the Dolphins, like the Raiders, like the Steelers. You go after them hard and say, hey, we're going to give you a chance to fix last year. You're going to help us bring people in, like you said, and maybe you catch lightning in a bottle and you stick it up everybody's ass and you go out on top. Worst case scenario, it costs you $1 million to find out. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know where it plays out. I doubt it. I don't think he's going to retire. I think he's at the very least he collects his money. And he sees what happens. So,
I got a feeling too. He's going to look to get that money, but
yeah,
I got to run into the little boys' room real quick. So please keep going, and I'll be right back.
You got it. So again, Hard Rock and Sports. That's Chef and Tom. I'm Tom, and we're here every Thursday night. And of course, like I said earlier, happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there. Hope you get to be with your sweetheart, and if not, I hope you. Have a good day. Have a good time anyway. Maybe you can snuggle up with your dog and watch a good movie or go out with good friends. Either way, we wish you a happy Valentine's Day, and I hope you have a good day tomorrow and a great weekend. It's President's Day weekend, which we have a great president right now, so you should get out there and be thankful. Go Doge. I'm a Doge guy. Again, if you guys I know the hockey's on a break right now. We'll talk about it when Jeff gets back, but I got to tell you, I love the idea. And I wish that all the sports would do it. This is the time I would say this tournament that they're playing in. Just watched the first game last night. It was real hockey, and to me, I always liked the NHL All-Star Game back in the day. They kind of played, but they didn't play. It's become a joke now, to the point that they all are. All the All-Star games are a joke. I didn't watch not 1 second of the NFL Pro Bowl display, whatever that is. Didn't watch a second of it. But I like this hockey tournament because it's real hockey. You're getting kind of all-star teams, right? Guys, there's all sorts of guys from the NHL all over the place. So you're kind of getting that all-star feel, but they're playing real hockey, and it's a little bit of a tournament, and it's a country thing. It's not like, Sidney Crosby's team versus Mika Zibanejad's team versus Chris Kreider's team. This is Canada and the United States and Sweden, and is it Finland's the other team? And it's a tournament. Somebody's going to win it. And I know while it's a meaningless trophy, it just is real hockey. And that's what I like it. I like the premise. The All-Star games are a waste of time. There is, baseball was the last decent one. That's kind of got out the window. I'm hoping this year, maybe for a little better, they're going back to teams are wearing their regular uniforms. I'm all for that. I think that's fantastic. So we'll see. But for the most part, to me, this is the best. This is the best thing in the world. Now, John, if I know you don't watch much hockey now, but hockey's on a break. It's supposed to be the All-Star game right now, and they did away with the All-Star game, and they came up with a 4-nation tournament.
Yeah, I saw that. Canada, United States, Sweden, and Finland or something.
Yeah,
like
I believe that's it. And I watched last night with Sweden and Canada, and what I was just saying, Jeff, was you're kind of getting the all-star feel because you're getting this like all-star Canadian team, all-star Sweden team.
Of course, yeah.
And yes, Frankie, they did. They really do need the bad guy. It's the truth. You need like that bad guy. But it's nice to watch because it's real hockey. You're not getting all the bullshit. The score is not, a 16-12 hockey game where nobody plays defense and nobody hits anybody and they're all goofing. They don't play in hockey. And to me, if you want to take a break and you want to have this an all-star type thing, to me, there's nothing better. I think this is fantastic.
Yeah, but like you said, unfortunately, they're not going to put Russia in it because of the war. That's not going to happen. The world is fed up with them. You know that. No,
I get it. I'm just saying is that you needed right now. To me, this tournament needs a bad guy. Like you're almost hoping, like Canada back in the 70s when guys like Bobby Clark slashing people and breaking people's ankles, and Team Canada became the bad guys. You kind of want that. Like you want that fever about it. But either way, it's still better than an all-star game. Now, you couldn't probably do this with anybody else. Maybe you could do this with the NBA. They tried that in-season tournament, which is retarded. But instead of an all-star game, instead of the NBA all-star game, I would rather see something like this. But to see this tournament that happens 7 games over 9 days, and it's real hockey. We get a lot of extra hockey, and it's kind of an all-star feel. So I think it's great. I'm a big fan of it.
Well, I like the idea of it and everything, and I think it's a good idea because it gets away. The NHL skills competition was always cool to watch.
Yes, I agree with you.
While we don't necessarily need the All-Star game itself, and see a hockey game that looks like 2 8-year-olds are playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Without a doubt, I did like the skills competition because there was a lot of cool things about it. Whether it was the racing around the rink, the hardest slap shot,
absolutely, breaking the dishes,
the sniper things, and, it were cool things.
I agree with you. Now, again, if you want to tell me we're doing away with it all, we're going to have the skills competition one night, I think it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Bring the best players in the league together, have them compete that way. But to throw an all-star game in there, I went to one. I went to one back in '94. It was an okay game. But, it's boring, to be honest with you.
What is the feel? Because I've never been to one. I've been to plenty of hockey games, but what is the feel of an NHL All-Star game? Knowing that there's going to be no fighting, hardly any penalties, and
yeah, you know what it is? It's you're like you go to a game. It's you go to a Ranger game. It's 20,000 Ranger fans. It was like 20,000 different fans. So. There was no buzz in the crowd. Nobody was getting into it. it was kind of like if you scored a goal, it was like, hey, nice. It was the skills competition the night before was incredible. I thought the All-Star game was very boring, and it was some good players. It
makes sense because even unless a lot of your home team was in the building, and even then, they're not all going to be playing at the same time.
Correct. And then the problem is that you have fans coming from all over the world, all over the country, to watch their players play in this game. So it's a very, what the best way to say it is a very corporate feel.
Yeah,
people were there, they were hanging, they were drinking, they were watching, but nobody was like, there was no ravenous. Hockey is ravenous fans. I mean, it's constant motion. You're up and down, second to second, big goals. And it was like a goal got scored. It was like, hey, give me a hot dog, give me a soda, give me a pretzel. It was okay. It was something to say. I went to do it, but if you're asking me, the skills competition, to your point, was much better.
Frank, while you're right about the All-Star game, the NHL did make it a little more interesting. It wasn't as good as baseball or even basketball, but it was definitely above, way above, like a football. The Pro Bowl, which was just a joke, but maybe this year's Pro Bowl was completely different. There was no Pro Bowl. They played tackle or touch tackle, but in the previous years with the Pro Bowl, it was just a joke. But with the All-Star game, like even those guys, they're not playing that hard because they could still get devastating injuries just by playing the game itself.
Yeah, and again, I'm sure there's some thought of that, but when you watched the game last night, it was a real hockey game. It was nobody was.
That's a different situation because now there's a little bit more at stake than just an All-Star game. You represent your country,
correct, and
you're making that makes it a little bit better. And how the NHL, North America versus the world, that's cool too. But it's still these guys take a chance of getting hurt in the hockey game. So, there always is that chance that somebody could have a fucking season-ending injury in an All-Star game.
Yeah. Again, I think it's better that. Yeah, I think it's better than anything I've seen so far as far as All-Star games. Again, I'm looking forward to baseball this year only because I want to see the teams back in their normal uniforms. So, whoever the home team will wear their home team uniforms, and I think that goes back to the old days, and I think it's a lot more fun. Again, it's still a game where these guys don't play hard. And if you're not playing hard, it don't pay. I want to go back to those days of the 70s and 80s where guys played hard every single game. You wanted to win, and they broke up double plays. Nowadays these All-Star games are a joke. So
yeah, but Tom, listen, there was a reason why these guys played like they did in those games. Okay, there was money to be had. There was money to be won. Some of these guys didn't have the biggest contracts that they do now. What is the veterans minimum in baseball? Do you know?
It's short of $1 million. I think I want to say it's like
it still hasn't broken $1 million.
I believe the last time I looked it up, and I can look it up again right now, but the last time I looked, it was under $1 million a year for a veteran minimum. Let's see.
You mind checking it real quick?
I'm checking it right now. What is
I figured it would have been, and if it's $1 million, if it broke $1 million, it's got to be in the low million, but it has to be.
Let's see. I believe it was just under. What is the veteran minimum salary? Okay. His first contract. No, that's not it. Okay, that's not what I was looking for. Give me 1 second. 760,000.
That's it?
That's what it says. It says per the official collective bargaining agreement between the MLB and MLBPA, the minimum payroll salary, or in more proper terms, the minimum rate of payment to a player for each day of service for players in 2000 campaign will be 760,000.
2000 campaign?
2025. This is a $20,000 increase from what the league minimum salary in 2024. It was 720. So every year it goes up $20,000. So 2023 was 720. Last year it was 740. This year 760. So it's even a little less than I thought it was. It's $760,000 for a veteran minimum.
Wow. Well, you know what? Still good money, but not what some of these guys are getting. And what I was going to say is that a lot of these guys played hard in those situations because, an extra $50,000-$60,000 a year, whatever they were getting, because they made an all-star game, and the money that they made in an all-star game was better for them. Now you got guys that when they're in the all-star game, they're making better money. There can't be many people in the all-star game that are making league minimum. Let's put it that way.
For the most part, you would think not. And the NFL, just for the record, for this year, for last year, for this year, it's not just ended, was $915,000 was the veteran minimum.
Really? Wow.
That's the least amount of money that a veteran can make playing in the NFL in one season, $950,000.
Wow, so much more than football, baseball.
Yes, and for a few, again, that's so. But again, as far as All-Star games go, I was out of them. I am going to watch this tournament. I will try to catch the American game after we get off the air tonight. I watched a good part of last night's game. In fact, I didn't see who won. It was 3-3 when I kind of dozed out. And I think they were going to overtime. I don't know who won. I for sure Canada probably won, but I didn't see the end. So, Frankie, if you know, Frank Jeffrey, Frank Catalano, if you guys know who won last night, let me know. I'll look it up. Jeff, we got to move on. I got a bunch of things I want to get to still. Going back to the Super Bowl real quick. I know you didn't watch it live. Did you happen to catch the Kendrick Lamar halftime show afterwards? Did you go back and look at it at all? Because I did. No. I wouldn't watch it live because I wouldn't give it any ratings. Crosby scored. Okay. Okay. But I did go back to watch it because I wanted to be able to talk about it. And I will tell you, I didn't get it. I just, somebody was saying how, everybody was dressed in red, white, and blue and this and that. I couldn't understand not one freaking word the guy was saying. I have no idea what he said.
Who he was, that's one thing.
I've heard his name before. I don't know.
And second of all, honestly, they said that it was, I waited as long as I could. As soon as they said it was going to start, that's when I ran out, took the dog out, went upstairs, got a snack.
Yeah.
And then I came back down. I woke my wife up because she wanted to see it. I came back downstairs and they were wrapping it up. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, that was quick.
Yeah, it was actually 13 minutes long.
I'm surprised. I thought that the halftime show was about 20 minutes long.
Well, the version I saw was 13 minutes and change. Now, it could have been a little longer. They snuck in Samuel L. Jackson. They were talking about from the ghetto, and he was dressed as Uncle Sam. And then Venus Williams, one of the I think it was Venus or Serena Williams was dancing.
Serena Williams. Wasn't that like his ex-girlfriend or something?
I don't know idea. I would just tell you it was about the worst thing I've ever watched. I went back and saw a bunch of the last few. There were very few that I would say were any good. All I would say is this: if you're the NFL, at some point, try something different. I can't see this. I tried to, again, I wouldn't watch it live because I wouldn't give it ratings. So I shut it off when it was live, but I did go to YouTube and I found it. And like I said, it was, you couldn't even understand what he was saying at all. I mean, I didn't find it any sort of entertaining. It wasn't catchy. It wasn't, I'm telling you, Jeff, if you take 3 seconds and just listen to what forget about the music. It all sucked. But try to pick out 5 words that you can make out. You just can't do it.
Yeah. Listen, you know what? I've seen a lot of people. They were like, well, next year they should have Metallica on there or this band or that band.
It's out of the West Coast.
I want to watch the Super Bowl. I don't really give a fuck who the halftime show is.
I agree with you.
I don't want to watch Jay-Z. I don't want to watch Beyonce. I don't want to watch Drake. I don't want to watch Metallica. I want to watch a football game. How about telling me about the football game? Let's hear what adjustments teams have to make. Let's hear what the experts have to say. What are the chances of a team winning after being down by 14 or something at halftime? You know what I mean?
I agree. Go back to the old days and just go to the halftime and have all the experts breaking the game down. Because to me, I'm telling you, half the people tune out for it anyway. Nobody gives a crap about it. It's bad every year. It's rushed every year. So I'm with you. But to Frankie's point, as long as Jay-Z's involved, it's going to be shit. And you're going to keep getting
And
shit.
God knows he ain't going anywhere because there's just too much fucking money to be made.
Absolutely. Yeah, Frankie, you know what? You're right. I'd rather have a marching band. Put the marching band out there. Let them play for 15, 20 minutes, and then go dig up Jimmy the Greek and Brent Musburger and all those guys and whoever it is.
I don't think we need to see that, man.
Well, I'm just saying, and let's just have a true halftime show. Talk about the game, break it down, and then go back to the game and maybe shorten halftime from 40 minutes to 25 minutes. Give them a couple extra minutes to make some adjustments. But yeah, it was horrendous. The game was bad. It was very disappointing. I'm telling you, by 5 or 7 minutes left in the third quarter, I was gone, and I was already flipping channels in the second quarter.
You know, that's first of all, the halftime show is geared to a certain demographic. It has been for the last God knows how many fucking years.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's just stop. Just please stop. Even if you wanted to put on a show, you're not going to appease everybody.
No, I agree.
If you put on Metallica, there's going to be people that say, well, how come you didn't put this one on? How come you didn't put that one on?
I agree.
How come Neil Diamond didn't play? How come this one didn't play?
Yeah, you're not gonna find anybody out there that's gonna make.
And the commercials suck cock too.
Oh, they were terrible this year too. Oh, but
every year you say that every year. Oh, they were terrible. They were terrible. They were terrible.
There's again that I think if there was a couple that made me chuckle, there was a Dunkings one I thought was halfway decent. The old ladies driving in the car, I didn't understand it, but I thought they were kind of funny. Other than that, there's nothing clever. There's nothing memorable. So I don't know. I didn't see the Budweiser commercial this year. I have to go look that up. That's one thing I probably missed.
It was I believe.
Yeah, the one thing I would tell you that might go over for a lot of different generations would be something Motown. Like if you came out and did like a Motown tribute, because I think there's enough young people who like that kind of stuff. And obviously there's a lot, even guys like yourself and myself would say, hey, they're doing a Motown thing. I'll stick around and maybe they tried out a bunch. Whoever's left over still, or got a couple of bands to go out there and play Motown stuff the right way. You might catch people. But I think that's the only crossover that I could see pulling most people in.
I have an idea.
Go ahead.
I'm going to pitch my idea to you. Let me see if we sell my idea to you. Okay. Every year for the halftime show, instead of having a performer, let's have a very important championship wrestling match. I'm talking about, like maybe the match that decides the opponents for WrestleMania or something of that, something, silly, something that could be done in 10 minutes. And just think about that, man. The biggest stage in the world, you're bringing sports entertainment into it. Let them not try it 1 year.
Listen, I would be for that before I get to see Kendrick Lamar again. So
I don't think you're going to see him again.
Yeah, I would tell you, I would be for that. That's fine. I would also, now they're coming out with all this new tech. Now I know we've talked about the holograms in the past, but I don't know if we talked about it on the show. But when I went to Vegas, I got to go to the Sphere. The Sphere is this beautiful round building. Look it up, and I got to see a U2 concert there, but U2 wasn't there. It was a previously done concert. And they basically, the video, like the whole wall in front of you became this backdrop. And they piped in music. They brought in, I don't know, like a video of U2. And you would have swore, Jeff, they were 15 feet from you. And you were watching a U2 concert. Like you would have swore you were watching. The sound was amazing. The backdrop, the seats rattled when the drummer was going crazy. It was an amazing thing. Like to me, if you could get that technology and bring Elvis to the Super Bowl, if you could bring, past the Beatles could play, like something like that would be interesting to me. Other than that, I'd rather do your wrestling thing. I'd rather that. And I'm not a fan of Bruno Mars. He was very good. I'm not a fan, but he did a nice job. But Jeff, I like your thing better. I'd rather watch wrestling, to be honest with you.
It's it's just a thought. It's just an idea.
It
But
never
I mean,
happened.
you
But
know what? Everything is fine until one of these rappers that they have on every year is going to come out one day with a gang message,
yeah,
or somebody's going to fucking shoot him from a fucking press box or something stupid like that. You know what I mean?
sure, no problem.
It's just a matter of time before it goes south bad, quickly too.
Oh, couldn't agree with you more, Jeff. I got a couple more topics. I'm gonna let you decide which way we go first. We got the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live, and
Let's talk about that real quick.
Okay. So we'll hold rock and roll. We have the 2025 and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominations are out.
I saw that, but I want to talk about Saturday Night Live for a lot of different reasons.
Go ahead, you go first.
You made perfect leadway in when you said about how important it was when we were younger, when we were 14, 15, 16 years old. We were meeting up on Sunday mornings to go play, go get fries and go play basketball when we were supposed to be in church, praising God. But there we were fucking talking about buckwheat and Gumby and everybody else. And it was just fucking great. It was great. It was the glue that put us all together.
Absolutely.
At that point in time, man.
And it's still to this day, there are a lot of times that you'll post or I'll show stuff, and it's mostly Eddie Murphy stuff. But to me, I got to live through the height.
There you go.
There you go. There you go, Paul Gill. I got to live through the height of Saturday Night Live, where I got to see the original cast, with Belushi and Chevy Chase and Bill Murray and Aykroyd, that whole crowd. I did see the movie, Frankie, and to be honest with you, it was okay. I thought the portrayal of the cast members was really good. If you get a chance to see it, Jeff, there's an SNL movie. It's basically the very first episode and how it how the whole day, how it got to the point where they decided there was a chance they were going to not show Saturday Night Live and they were going to show a rerun of Johnny Carson and the Tonight Show. And the movie basically ends when the producer of the whole thing says, "Go live." And at that point, Chevy Chase, and it's not a great movie, but I thought the portrayal, like the people who played Chevy Chase and Belushi and Gilda Radner and all of them, I thought they were fantastic. I thought they did a great job. It was an interesting movie. Frankie's right. So if you get a chance to see it, but I got to live through that cast, and then I got to live through Eddie Murphy and Joe Piscopo, and that whole crowd. And those first 10 years were, for the most part, there was some bad stuff in there somewhere, but it was amazing. And it was must see. Every Saturday night, you had to watch it. I mean,
Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. I mean, my God, Gumby, James Brown,
Kill My Landlord.
I mean, come on. Man.
Yeah.
This was stuff. When I forget the guy's name, he was the little guy with the glasses, and the milk would come out of his nose, and he was laying on the floor catching the milk coming out of the other guy's nose. Do you remember that skit?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Oh my God, come on.
Was it Tim Kazurinsky?
What?
Was it Tim Kazurinsky?
His name was Tim. Yeah.
Because and then don't forget, there was parts in there in those 80s where you had Michael McKean, you had Chris Guest, Billy Crystal, all mixed into these casts that
Joe
were
Piscopo.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to Joe Piscopo every morning driving to work, and he's a funny dude. And I think back to those days, and he talks about himself as like as a bit player and this and that. But Joe Piscopo doing Joe Piscopo and Joe Piscopo Sports, doing Frank Sinatra impersonations. Fantastic. And yes, the guests, I mean, a lot of the music guests, I mean, Paul Simon back in the day. I think Simon and Garfunkel reunited on there for a little while.
There was a lot of good music on there.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was interesting news clips too.
Yes, sure.
When they covered the assassination of Buckwheat live.
Oh, that might be, to this day, that might be the funniest thing. The funniest thing, if you ever go back and watch, there's a black guy who's a Secret Service agent, and as Buckwheat gets shot, he starts to move forward, and you can't tell if he's laughing, and his face is just priceless. It's one of the best. That is one of the best scenes. And of course, Piscopo.
The guy with the sunglasses, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I remember him. Yeah.
Wait, let me ask you this. Give me your top 5 SNL cast members.
Oh, well, Jesus Christ. Eddie Murphy.
Okay.
And just probably Eddie Murphy is one of the characters, but I mean, Joe Piscopo was great.
Yeah.
John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd. And then pretty much like everybody else in that era, like it was hard to really pick favorites. I mean, Eddie Murphy was probably the biggest out of all of them.
I would say Eddie was the best character guy of all time. I mean,
John Belushi probably would have been the greatest from Saturday Night Live if he had lived and stayed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but if you ask me, if you really think about it, Aykroyd's probably the funniest dude. I mean, Bill Murray's close. But Aykroyd was amazing. Aykroyd did all the different characters, and then he's gone on to this huge movie career, and is one of the funniest writers and comedy actors out there. So Billy Crystal was on there for a year or so. There was but when I think back to some of those memories, it's Piscopo and Murphy, and then Bill Murray. Remember Bill Murray, the lounge singer.
Yeah.
Oh my, he's like
Chevy
singing Led
Chase.
Zeppelin. Yeah, Chevy Chase. See, now I didn't like Chevy Chase as an actor. I think most of his movies were terrible. The vacation movies weren't bad.
I don't like that kind of comedy.
Yeah,
it was not like that slapstick comedy.
I'm not a huge Chevy fan outside of, but I thought his 1 year on SNL was pretty funny. I did like, again, to me, it's Aykroyd, Belushi. Like one of the funniest was what was the one in the dino cheeseburger?
Yeah.
Samurai.
What was that guy's name? The black guy, man. What the fuck?
Garrett Morris.
Garrett Morris, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so to me, we could sit here all day and go through skits and people who've been on there. I mean, people from like Adam Sandler and Chris Rock, and there's so many. Julia Louis-Dreyfus. So many people have gone in and out of that world. Now, I haven't watched Saturday Night Live religiously in 30 plus years.
Chris Farley was great, man.
Chris Farley was absolutely great. Chris Farley auditioning for Chippendales might be one of the funniest skits of all time. Him and Patrick Swayze. Do you remember that one?
I remember it. I remember seeing it a couple times. I didn't see it when it was actually on.
Oh my God, I watched it.
I remember when he was on Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
But Tommy Boy, my God. If you ever tried to sit through a movie and not laugh your ass off, it's Tommy Boy, man.
But Saturday Night Live is one of those shows where you kind of forget it a little bit. And the day it goes off the air, if it ever does in our lifetime, you'll go, wow. Because to me, when you grew up, there wasn't a lot of stuff like that. Like that was sketch comedy was kind of dead at that point. Like like when we were growing up as kids, it was already over. The Dean Martin shows and all of those kind of sketch comedy, laughing. We were seeing reruns of it, but so Saturday Night Live to me was that Saturday night, even if you got home at midnight or a little late, you always caught part of Saturday Night Live. And it's iconic. This Sunday night is the 50th anniversary. I saw the 40th, and I was a little disappointed in it. 50, I'm interested in. I'm going to watch it, see what they do, what skits they're going to bring back, if any, what people are going to. There's one that was pretty funny, and I'm going to bring it. Do you remember? This is back to the first couple seasons. They did a superhero thing, and they dressed Belushi up as the Hulk. Aykroyd was the Flash. If you look it up, that was fun. And the other one was Garrett Morris. They were dressed up as like Marie Antoinette in that era, and it was Lord and it was the douchebags, Lord and Madam, or Lord and Lady Douchebag, and it was a whole skit of that. The shark, knocking on the door. I mean, these things were iconic. Land Shark. So I bring it up because to me there are certain things. Hulk Hogan, Saturday Night Live, There are certain things that will always ring a bell for me from my childhood, for the best years of those times. When I was a teenager, hanging out with Jeff and Paul, and and not going to church on Sundays and playing in the studio and all that kind of good stuff.
When we were still fucking blind to what was actually going on in the world, like adulthood.
Yeah, not realizing we didn't want to be adults at that point.
We're fucking months away from being fucked.
Yeah, exactly. So
fucked, dude.
But guys, if you get a chance, tune into Saturday Night Live, and again, go back and you can find a lot of it on YouTube. There are actually stations. There's a station on mine that plays 3 or 4 old episodes every day. Now you can find stuff from season 5 or season 48. So you get hit or miss what you're getting to see. And then I think either Netflix, one of the stations has all the episodes. You can go back and watch all the old time shows if you want. So, but Saturday Night hitting 50, Jeff, kind of caught a nerve to me. I said, I remember watching the very first season. Sleeping at my grandmother's house on a Saturday night, and her yelling at me to shut the TV off at midnight because I was flipping back and forth, literally flipping back and forth.
Yeah. No remote.
Yeah.
No remote.
Watching Saturday Night Live and wrestling on Channel 9 at midnight. So
does Saturday Night Live make it to 100 years? You think? We'll never know. We'll never know.
That's interesting. I'd say the answer is no.
You don't think so?
Well, here's why. I think they've now they have to do a big comeback. I think they spent too much time pissing off half the country. So
basically, that's what happens nowadays anyway. Somebody's getting pissed off.
Correct. No, but see, back in the day, they were equal opportunity bashers. You could, you'd bash a Republican, a moderate, you'd bash a liberal, a Democrat. It was kind of 50-50, depending on who did what. Like you just as easy see a Richard Nixon skit as you would a Bill Clinton, getting a little something from Monica Lewinsky. And it was kind of fair and equal balance. I think the last few years, maybe they've cleaned it up a little bit now, but for a good amount of time, it seemed like they were just bashing people on the right. And I think it lost a lot of people. Now, I just don't watch because I don't find it funny. I've tried to tune in once or twice, and I don't find the skits funny. I don't think the humor's there anymore. But yeah, it's possible. But no, I think when Lorne Michaels passes, God, I hope he doesn't. But I think when he goes, that show will be officially taken off the air.
You think?
Yeah, I don't know if it's 10 more years, 20 more years. I don't know what the ratings are. They must get decent ratings still at this point in time. I just don't. I don't think people have the same interest in it.
I just wonder, how could they get rid of it 50 years? It's almost like the old Carson show. Like, how are you going to take that off the air?
Well, it happened. Listen, the Jerry Lewis Telethon was on for 40 plus years, almost 50 years. It went away. They threw Jerry out and said goodbye. They did 1 year for 3 hours, and the next year it was gone. Things disappear, and I think it's there's too many other options. I mean, think about it. Back then, you had 4 channels, and Saturday night 11:30 was live TV, and you saw basically new shows every week for most of the time. And you had funny characters and people. I can't think of the last person who came out where I would say that person. I guess it's the Tina Feys of the world, Sandler, where you come out and say they were breakout stars. I mean, back in the day, those guys would be on TV for a while. The next thing you know, they were starring in movies, and they were the biggest people in the world. Farley and
very true. If you want to know something, even with subpar people on, it's there. It is. It's still there.
I agree with you.
Still happening.
Yeah. I don't think it's going off the air tomorrow, but I don't see this having a much longer shelf life. But again, it's managed to go 50 years. So who the hell knows? Maybe maybe our grandchildren will be tuning in and hearing stories of buckwheat and all that. I would tell you that era, Eddie Murphy, Piscopo, that crowd, those will be the funniest things I'll ever watch. Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood, Buckwheat, Gumby. Who the hell took Gumby, made it a real character, made him Jewish, a black Jewish Gumby, and call it a day? It's still the funniest thing Gumby to me is still probably my favorite of all of them.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on, man, that is such great stuff. It's
A
unbelievable.
Morty, I gotta have a Morty Amsterdam. Yeah, that's just to me.
Amsterdam.
It's still the funniest thing. So
I don't know, man, dude. I'll tell you the truth. To me,
Buckwheat,
the Mr. Rogers neighborhood or Mr. Robinson's neighborhood, with the way that he came out and the things that he said, and it just like it could never be touched. That's probably the greatest stuff ever in the history of the world on TV.
It's very true. Mr. Robinson's neighborhood is a classic. I mean, you took this iconic Mr. Rogers neighborhood and you put it in the ghetto, and Eddie Murphy. The faces were the key, but it was great. And so Saturday Night Live, Sunday night, 50th anniversary. If you can't stay awake for it, DVR it, catch it at your leisure. It'll bring back a ton of memories and lots to talk about for it. So I hope you all tune in and watch it. We'll talk about it. Yes, we'll talk about it next week on the show for sure. It'll be one of the conversations that Jeff and I have. Hey, there's the cat, one-eyed cat.
Basil, not Basil. That's the dog, though. No white dog.
Yeah.
But this is Linda.
Hello, Linda.
A cat. She's been very bad.
Oh, really?
Every morning I open up the bathroom door, and there she is on the bed hiding.
Yeah.
She thinks I can't see her because she's only got one eye, so she hides and only one eye sticks out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I can't see you, you know.
Catalina, you're 100% right, but I think we're starting to beat up on the woke, and again, I just think Saturday Night Live's just got to go back to being funny. Let's stop being political. I mean, I'm not saying don't make fun of politicians and spoofing on them. I think it's fine. Just nail everybody, whoever it is this week and next week and whatever. I just think go back to being funny and not trying to make a political statement. Is what I'd like to see from Saturday Night Live. But at the end of the day, the country was too woke. I'm hoping we've gone back to no more bans on plastic straws. Whoever thought paper straws was a good idea needed to have their head kicked in. That's all I got to say. I've tried to use a paper straw. It is the worst.
It was pretty stupid, especially after it stopped fucking getting soggy.
Yeah, could you imagine they had to have an executive order to reverse this? I mean, that's how stupid things got. They had the president of the United States had to sit down and write out sign his name to a piece of paper that said, "We can use plastic straws." I mean, it's just the most ridiculous thing ever. So
there's a lot of things that are stupid.
Yeah, well, we'll stay from politics. Yeah, absolutely, Frank. Final topic of the night, Jeff, is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it's my biggest beef. Is Hall of Fame stuff to begin with, but the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, again, another year of these are 14 people that have made the list that will be voted, some of which will be voted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. Jeff, would you like to go through this list with me?
Sure, man.
All right, so I'm going to go right in order. I'm not going to pick out anybody special. I'll just tell you who it is, and we can start talking about it. So first and foremost, Jeff, the first one up there, I believe they are first-timers in this whole thing, is Bad Company. Now, which version of Bad Company are we going to see going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Jeff? I'm not sure, but Bad Company's up on the list. Now, I don't particularly think that Bad Company deserves. They had a few hits, not a terrible band. If they got in, would it kill me? No, but to me, I'm not seeing it. But what is your thought on Bad Company?
I don't mind Bad Company getting in there, man. I think that they had some good hits. I think they were a good band. And listen, with some of the other people that are going in there, you put them in.
All right. So second on the list, again, another good band, couple of good hits. But why are they on this list? And that's the Black Crowes. Why are the Black Crowes on this list?
They're a band, Southern rock. Southern classic rock from the late 80s, early 90s. Why not put them in, man? They've been around for a while. They only hurt their own brand by the infighting that they did, but they have some good stuff.
Okay,
they're not the greatest band, but they're far from the worst band.
I would agree with that. Next up, I guess if you wanted to put her in on merit, the amount of hits, the number ones, this and that, Mariah Carey's on the list. I would guess she's going to get in. People could say you could say she's influential. I know she's had a ton of hits and sold a lot of records. Is she rock and roll? We can argue yes or no, but I think Mariah Carey is probably going to be one of those people inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
She's definitely not rock and roll,
right?
Without a doubt, she's definitely not rock and roll. But because all the other bands that have made it, she should definitely be in there too.
Yeah,
I would sold some albums, and once again, you want to fix the controversy? Music Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now, I've always loved this guy. I think he always had a smile, had one of the biggest hits of all time, but really one hit, Chubby Checker. Why is Chubby Checker getting in the Hall of? Why is Chubby Checker up here for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I'm assuming Chubby Checker is gone by now, right?
I think the answer to that is yes. Let's look up Chubby. I like to really know his real name because I'm sure it's not Chubby.
No. I don't know what it is, but yeah, you're 100% right. I don't believe it is Chubby.
Chubby Checker, Wikipedia, Jeff. So his real name, born Ernest Evans. So now we know why he's. And no, Chubby is still alive. 83 years old. Yeah, he's 83.
Damn.
His genres are listed as rock and roll, rhythm, and blues.
Rhythm and blues, huh?
Which I would not argue with because you think about when he was out, that people were calling that music rock and roll. So, well,
it was rock and roll at the time when he was out.
That's what I say. So his big hits were The Twist, Let's Twist Again. So there's kind of a common theme there, Jeff.
That's not in the same song?
No, it says he covered Hank Ballard and the Midnighters R&B song The Twist and the Pony Stand Style with the 1961 cover Ponytail. His biggest UK hit was Let's Twist Again, released 1 year later. So I guess Let's Twist Again is a different version.
Evidently, yeah.
Yeah. So he popularized the song Limbo Rock. That's really grew up in South Carolina. And again, his real name is Ernest Evans. He's 83 years old. So kind of an older guy. And they're probably going to want to put him in. But I like Chubby Checker, but the guy had one hit.
Yeah, one hit, which I up until about 5 minutes ago I thought was just one. I didn't know it was two, actually.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Next up on the list is a guy. Again, I'm not much of a fan of it. I would put him in the rock category, but it's Joe Cocker. I don't.
He was important in his time. It's not somebody. I may have one or two of his songs on my phone. He's usually hearing more with like one of the Q104 countdowns.
Correct. Yeah, you see he's got the one song, and to me, one of the greatest. I want to go back to Saturday Night Live. One of the greatest impressions ever was John Belushi doing Joe Cocker.
Yeah, I have I got 1, 2,
yep,
3, 4 songs from Joe Cocker on my phone, and 2 of them are Beatles covers.
Okay.
She came in through the bathroom window, and with a little help from my friends.
All right, so Joe Cocker is realistic. He's got a couple of good songs. Again, to me, he's more of a name than a huge star and somebody that I would think.
He was a big star in England at the time.
Maybe.
In the 60s.
Yeah, again, I'm not disputing it. If he gets in, you go, all right, it's Joe Cocker. He got in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But
is he alive? I don't know if he's alive.
I don't think so. I'd have to look that one up.
He died in 2014.
Okay, so yeah. Next up, this is an interesting one to me because he's definitely rock and roll. He had a lot of huge hits in the 80s, and that's Billy Idol. It's one of those guys that I'm not a huge fan of, but if you go kind of down, the guy had a bunch of big hits in the 80s. Would I put him in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Would I vote for him? The answer is no. Would I jump up and down if he got in? Probably not. So I don't. What do you think about Billy Idol?
He was. What was he? He wasn't rock and roll. He was new wave.
Yeah, but again, if you ask me back in the day, I would say he was part of that new wave.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with him getting in. I actually, you know what? He's still around.
Yeah,
he kind of spoofs on himself a little bit with some of the things. I put him in, man. You know what? These are people that when they're gone,
Yes.
They're gone, man. So put them in, man. Put them
Okay.
in.
All right. So Billy Idol's getting our vote. I don't know who Joy Division / New Order is. They're
Joy
up.
Division. They were, man. They were. I've heard of them. Were they a reggae band?
I'm looking them up right now. Joy Division / New Order. I'm looking them up right now. I've never heard of them.
British post-punk band, whatever.
Okay, so Joy Division was an English rock band formed in 1976. The group consisted of vocalist, guitarist, and lyricist Ian Curtis, guitarist and keyboardist Bernard Sumner, bassist Peter Hook, and drummer Stephen Morris. Hook, after they got together after attending a Sex Pistols concert. I'm going to see what. Let me see. I'm trying to see what they. Somebody committed suicide from the band. I mean, despite their short career, so they weren't around very long, Joy Division exerted a wide-reaching influence and achieved widespread critical acclaim. Again, as a band I've never heard of. Looks like they were done by 19. They started in 76. They were done by 1980.
Damn.
Yeah, so I don't get it. Looks like 2 albums, Unknown Pleasures 1979 and Closer in 1980. So, Jeff, you're putting in a band that had 2 albums back in the late 70s, early and into 1980. They were only around for 5 years. So,
well, you know what? That was basically the start of punk, in the UK. So I don't know how important they were to the punk scene at that time. So maybe they were
maybe
a front runner or something to do with the punk scene in Britain at the time. I really don't know.
Well, so their genres were post-punk, new wave, and proto-goth. Now they had 3 different genres in a 4-year career. So I don't know. Nobody that I've ever heard of in the band. So again, to me, the answer is no. 4 years. I'd have to tell you, I'm not voting for them, but we'll see. Here's another interesting one, Jeff. I think she's a shoo-in. Not the biggest fan, but she had a ton of hits and a big piece of wrestling with Cyndi Lauper. So I saw Cyndi Lauper in concert about 8 years ago. She sounded great. She just talked too much, way too much. Shut up and sing. But Cyndi Lauper,
3-hour show. She did 4 songs.
I would tell you, it was, and she was like forcing the non-hits down your throat. Like you had to. Luckily, she was the opening band, so it wasn't that long, and she had to eventually do them, her hits, because then it was Rod Stewart after that. But I'll think Cyndi Lauper's going to get in. I'm surprised she's not in now, to be honest with you. And very pop icon in the sense that she was a big part of that MTV wrestling genre where it all combined. But she was one of the faces of early MTV days.
Yes, she was.
So I'll say that Cyndi Lauper gets in. I
don't have a problem with her getting in either.
Yeah, I don't either. Next one is a person called Mania, Mana.
Have no idea who she is.
I don't know either. It's got that little swirly thing after the A. Who is Mania? Spanish language rock, a Spanish language rock band nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I just looked them up. So they're a Spanish rock band. I don't know who they are. These remarkable created. I don't know. So they're a record-breaking Mexican rock band and lifelong activists. So right off the bat, they're out. They're activists. I don't want activists.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no clue. So I'm voting no. More than likely, they're getting in.
Probably.
Next up is Oasis, Jeff. Now you'd be a better guy than me on Oasis. What do you think?
They have the song Wonderwall, and a lot of people like them. I'm not a big fan of them. They don't really do much for me, but they're probably going to get in.
Okay. All right. All right. So I'll take your word on that. Next up is Outkast. American hip hop duo formed in Atlanta, Georgia, 1992, consisting of Big Boy Antoine Patton and Andre 3000, who is Andre Benjamin, formerly known as Dre. Not too familiar with their stuff.
They had one song. You've definitely heard it before. It became huge. I don't see the reason why, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what years they were around. So let's see. Years active was 92 to 2007, and then they had a quick comeback as in 2014. Again, I'm leery of the rep and hip hop bands getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But if you're going to put them in, they got to be big. I don't see it. Next is Fish, Phish. You familiar with Fish?
Yeah, they're like a Grateful Dead type of band.
Okay. Well,
I don't get them.
Yeah, I've heard of them. I don't know anything about them. Now, there's another one that I think you're going to be happy with, which is Soundgarden is on the list.
I would love to see Soundgarden get in, but unfortunately, Cornell's not here to even know about it. You know what I mean?
So if they get in, what who's left of the band now? Could they put something together where they would do a tribute and do that, or do they have like a bunch of guys like Tom Morello and Dave Grohl go up there and play a bunch of Soundgarden stuff?
Soundgarden has been jamming with some girl singer as of late.
Okay.
And I haven't heard anything. I haven't recorded anything. But, I don't know if they would play or if it was like a one-off type of thing. I don't know. I mean, the one thing that I heard, it wasn't that good. You know what I mean? A lot of people weren't like, this is great stuff. So.
All right. Well, so I would think they have a decent chance of getting in. I don't know how many people they accept. I'd have to look up if there's a mixed minimum and a maximum. I think they're on the bubble. The last one, Jeff, is the rock duo of Jack White and Meg White and the White Stripes. I am not a White Stripes fan. I think there's some talent there. I don't get it. Garage rock, blues rock, alternative rock, punk blues, indie rock. They were active from 97 to 2011. See, to me, it's not a long enough career. They're definitely not influential. I don't know how many albums they sold. I don't know if they'll give that to me here.
Well, they had that one song, Seven Nation Army, which was pretty big. Dun, 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 dun.
I get it, but does that make them a,
No, not my eyes.
They've sold 8 million albums in the U.S. They have one multi-platinum album. Like, I'm not saying they're going to get in. I just don't even know why they're at this point. Like, why are they even at this point? There's not enough here. So going through this list, Bad Company gets in, Black Crowes get in, Mariah Carey's getting in, Billy Idol's getting in, that's 4, Cyndi Lauper's getting in, that's 5. Let's say Soundgarden is on the bubble. So we got 5 now.
Well, Soundgarden I would definitely put in.
Okay, so that's 6. Now.
But that's me.
Right. I'm saying, let's say there's 6. So now who's left over? Let's say we're going to take one out of the last few. You got Chubby Checker, Joe Cocker, Joy Division, New Order, Manya, Fish, and the White Stripes.
I would say either Joe Cocker or Fish is going to get in.
Okay, so if there's 7 going in, let's say that's probably somewhere in that range. Bad Company, Black Crowes, Mariah Carey, Joe Cocker. No, not Joe Cocker. Billy Idol, Cyndi Lauper, Fish, Soundgarden all get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Not a killing class, is it?
Yeah, that was going to be my closing statement. Is this again? There's still people out there that are not in. That I have to say, why are they not in? And but again, it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I'm not surprised by the list. And we'll see who gets in. Some point they'll reach into the magic hat. And somebody will pull out the names that Jan Wenner wants, and those people will go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But again, not the worst class I've seen by far. So I'll say, there's some, You can make a case for Bad Company. You can make a case for Black Crows. I'm not a Mariah Carey fan, but she's done enough in her career. Billy Idol, I think, has done enough. Cyndi Lauper, to me, is probably the one no-brainer in the crowd. I'm not a huge Soundgarden fan, but they were absolutely great talent. I don't know if there's enough meat on the bone to say they're a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. But the one person I think on the list, if you told me he's a no-brainer, it's Cyndi Lauper. That's the only person I say is a no-brainer.
Soundgarden may get in, not so much for the accomplishments of Soundgarden, but for what Chris Cornell did coming from Soundgarden with everything that his solo career, right. Soundgarden, Audio Slave, Temple of the Dog, and everything else he did in the grunge era. So that may help get them in.
Yeah. Last year's class was Mary J. Blige. I don't get it. Cher, I guess. Dave Matthews Band. I don't know. Foreigner, which I don't know. I guess. Peter Frampton. No. Kool and the Gang. Ozzy Osbourne as a solo artist, and A Tribe Called Quest. So that was.
I remember them talking about them last year.
Yeah. So again, that's who's up for it this year. I'm sure we'll talk much more about it as the weeks go by. In the meantime, it's time to wrap it up for tonight. 2 hours went quick. We got a lot of stuff in this the Super Bowl, SNL, Aaron Rodgers, Giants draft. Lots more to come in the weeks ahead. So stick around. We got a lot more to talk about coming up. But for tonight, though, we got to call it a night. So, Hefe, I'll give you the last word. You got anything you want to end with? You got the big show Saturday night, right?
Yeah.
Up at not Big Nose Kate's, the Rock House.
Rock House, yeah. Let's hope that it goes well.
Okay, so we'll hope that it goes well. Yeah. And anything else in the? We got the big reunion coming up in a couple weeks.
Looking forward to. Are you coming early?
I'm planning to. Yes, I am planning to come out early.
Please do, because I just so you know, good news for you. I have not been able to play much football because that room where my PS5 is just too cold. I'm going out there tonight, and I do not care for the next week what the temperature is. I will be out there. I'm going to go out there in as little clothes as possible and subject myself to the cold as punishment because I must win. Okay, I'm going to turn into Gomer Pyle from fucking Full Metal Jacket. This controller is mine. There are many like it, but this one is mine. And I'm not coming out of there until I fucking shut you the fuck out, man.
All right. Well, I haven't played. I did just win the Super Bowl on my Madden about a week and a half ago. I took the Giants and Daniel Jones to the Super Bowl, and we won it. We had a perfect season, just for the record. I've been out to hockey this week. I'm back playing hockey for a week.
You got to show me how to get a season going, man. Oh.
I will definitely get you all set up. So we'll do that. And yes, I am all pumped up for that. So we got. But again, for everybody,
what time you're planning on coming by? But I mean, this is just a suggestion.
Go ahead.
Okay, if you come by early, there's a diner right around the corner. We could go for fucking breakfast. We could be in that fucking room all day until we got to leave to go for the studio. So time is. You want to be there 6:30? That's fine. You want to be there at 12:30? That's fine too. I don't care. I'm just letting you know.
Well, we have the studio from 3 to 6, right? So, yeah, we'll make some plans. I didn't know if you were off for the day. I don't know if you were leaving early. So
day off because the day before is Sharon's son's engagement party.
Right. All right. So, like I said, we'll talk this week and make some plans and all of that. In the meantime, listen, tomorrow's Valentine's Day. If you didn't buy anything for anybody, go buy it. If you have, make sure you enjoy your time with your significant other and enjoy Valentine's Day tomorrow. In the meantime, it's going to be a little crappy weather and some cold weather for the next week or so, but stay warm, think warm thoughts, go Elon Musk. And in the meantime,
that is one freaky ass looking motherfucker, man. Holy shit.
What for a bright guy, he can barely get two words spoken together, but
I think he is AI.
Yeah. Very possible. It's very possible. But in the meantime, enjoy the hockey tournament. There's no football. We got a little bit of a break. Thank God. I'm all footballed out. I do not see me watching much of the spring league, but we'll see what happens. But we do have pitches and catches already. We do have teams are reporting haven't had pitches and catches yet, but we get a lot more baseball starting next week. So stick around, and we'll get a lot more baseball in. We'll start talking about off-season football and everything else when we come back next Thursday night to do it all over again. So, having said that, please watch Saturday Night Live. That'll be one of our topics next week. In the meantime, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thanks to Frank Catalano, Frank Jeffrey, everybody else who tuned in along the way and been hitting me up as the show goes on. And, of course, thanks to my partner, Mr. Jeff Towinski. So, for Jeff and myself, we say thank you for tuning in. Have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week, a great weekend, and then a great next week. We'll see you next Thursday night right here on the Hard Rock and Sports Show. So for Jeff and myself and everybody at Hard Rock and Sports, have a great night. Hefe, I will definitely talk to you off the air.
You got it, man. Be good.
See you later.
Later.
Stream.